We're talking actors and directors who put on the shows.
We're talking playwrights and designers who you'll want to know.
From the very first rehearsal to the final curtain call.
We might be off Broadway, but we're talking about it all.
'Cause we're two local gals
with global pals. It's everything, everything, everything theater.
with Benita
And Ellen. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Everything Theater podcast, the podcast where we talk about
everything theater. Listen, you got to sing a little bit. It's the holidays. We got to be merry and bright, right?
That's absolutely.
Anyway, I'm Benita Zahn. Good to have you with us.
And I'm Ellen Cribbs. Yes, so welcome to our final episode of 2021.
And this is a show that has become, it's ingrained. It's one that we do every year now, and our two guests are, stalwarts of the theater community in the capital region and clearly beyond. So we're just delighted to have Chris Foster and Patrick White with us, gentlemen.
Hello, this is so great.
Happy holidays.
Third year in a row. This is awesome. Thank
last
you.
year it was difficult. Everybody, if they don't, now we're going to let them know. Everybody knows that you two gents get to more theater than any 5 or 6 people combined. And then you share the information about it and the encouragement for others to go and have that experience. Last year, of course, was quite difficult.
It was.
So this year was a bit of a transition. And I'm going to stop just for a second, because before we started the official part, I said, oh goodness, it's starting to look a little ugly. And we are recording this on the 16th, but we have seen on the 15th, Hamilton, Harry Potter, Mrs. Doubtfire, Tina, all having to suspend a show. And this may go on even. Kelly O'Hara replacing Laura Benanti in a Pops concert at Carnegie Hall because of Benanti's exposure to COVID. We're not out of the woods.
Not at all.
No.
And it's really frightening to us because we both have shows coming up very soon. So, it's like, that's why I told you to shush earlier, because it's like, I don't want to jinx it.
Yeah, we're in the midst of production, but right. And we also have tickets, I'm good. We have plans, but the great thing about it though is that they caught it, and that so much testing is going on that I really feel safe about, shows closing. It shows that the system is working, so to a certain degree, it's comforting to know that shows are closing.
They're doing a better job than the NFL.
I guess my only fear is that, what does this mean for the theater going audience? I mean, obviously there are people like Chris and Patrick who are always going to go to the theater, and Benita and I as well. But, the people who are kind of casual theater goers who had tickets and then they're like, my tickets got canceled. Like, will they come back? That's my only concern.
Well, not only did their tickets get canceled, but are they willing to go out? Are they willing to venture out still?
Right, true.
Right,
Yeah.
with the more scary news that happens,
Yeah.
We shall see. There are people reluctant to come back before these shows closed, and so this is further evidence, but we'll be going.
Yes, guys, I know you have a number. In 2019, how many shows did you attend?
19 was the banner year, 317.
Last year?
54.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And in person, 54.
Yeah, correct.
Shut down. And this year?
Oh, we don't have the number yet. It's 2 weeks away. I'm going to a show tonight. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
At this point, you're clearly not at 317.
No,
we started, the first show that we had was in February. So in February, we went to one show
And then
we had to travel how far?
Stamford, Connecticut.
Yeah, right.
It was 2 hours and 15 minutes to see same time next year. And then it was the end of April with I Love You, You're Perfect Now Change. And once May and June rolled around, then it was, then we were up to 5 to 7 shows a week. But yeah, there was a long period, 5 months before,
Chris, I saw you at Mr. Saturday Night.
Yep.
Over at Barrington.
Yep.
How much of the summer season were you guys able to embrace?
It was pretty full. It was kind of quiet, actually, in the Capital Region. There were fantastic productions like Servant of Two Masters by Confetti Stage. But the Berkshires was pretty busy.
Yeah.
We missed some things. Some things were not happening. New York Stage and Film did not produce a full, and there were abbreviated seasons. Williamstown, unfortunately, had
lots of problems.
Yeah, a lot of problems this summer, and then lost their artistic director. That was a major setback, I think, in this COVID summer. But
so it did not feel like a normal summer, to answer your question, Benita.
And there was a lot outdoors, a ton outdoors, and we have both stories that were wonderful and stories that were like, oh my gosh, I never want to do this again.
Okay, those.
No, the great stuff. The last season Hudson Valley Shakespeare did at Boscobel Grounds.
They did a Tempest that was fantastic.
It was
where they had fog along the river there, and the actors came out of the fog to start the play, like they were coming out of the ship, out of the shipwreck.
Yeah,
it was, nothing short of amazing. Actually.
To the tune of Nina Simone's Sinner Man. And it was all physical and visceral. And you got all this, really exceptional play, exceptional production. And it's their last season at that space. So that was great. There was, oh my gosh, there was a play called Walden that Hartford's Theater Works did in this river recapture. It was like, down, I don't know, like an abandoned space. And they built a tiny house, and you got headsets when you were entering the playing area. And the action took place inside the house, out in front of you, in a little farming acre behind, like 50 yards, these three actors played this play.
But with the headsets, you could hear everything down to a whisper, like when they were inside,
And it was lit from dusk. The lighting would change. You'd see inside the house, and then it would pick up over in the field. And then the final image was like the field behind the house.
Just lit up like a Christmas tree.
Amazing. Mind-blowing. Yeah.
What I'm hearing then is that despite the challenges, it provided opportunities for creativity that we might not have experienced.
A lot of creativity.
Yeah. There was another one, Queen of the Night, Dorset Theater Festival did at the Southern Vermont Arts Center. And the playing space, they had used it for the previous play, Laughing Wild, which was one of the not so fun stories for us, because we made 3 attempts to go see it. We finally saw it, but it was like rained out and we had to reschedule. And once we were up there, hour-and-a-half drive, and they canceled after the first 15 minutes. And it wasn't even raining yet. We're like, why are they canceling?
Right.
And then all of a
15
sudden,
minutes later, there was a deluge.
But Queen of the Night by Travis Tate, it was like the play was written for the space. It was carved into this wooded area, and what they did with lights, bringing the woods into the play and onto the stage. They had these flowers.
Like flowers that lit up and came up out of the ground.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was crazy good.
And it was this Black father and son, and the son is gay, and it was this family drama. So all of this magical outdoor experience was,
a camping trip was the setting for the play, so it was like perfect for the for the environment that it was set in.
Yeah, so that was cool.
Did with the Black Theater Troupe of Upstate New York when he did barbecue this summer,
Right.
Outside in a picnic area, rather than
at the Myers. At the Myers house.
Myers, right.
Doing, at a historical landmark site. Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, we saw it the closing night. Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, and it was a packed house.
Yeah.
Did you have any rain issues with that?
No.
Cool.
Got nervous.
That's awesome. That was like August. July
was a different story.
July, it rained every night.
Right. And being, I'll call it the queen of Park Playhouse, being the board president there and having.
I'm all Emma Goldman'd up.
Right. A few years earlier when we did Hands on Hardbody, we lost more than half the season.
That's right.
Oh.
So, you're both, when you deal with outdoor theater, as you get used to it, if ever, you're both inured to the potential of rain. And on the other hand, you're constantly walking around in a state of, shaking for fear of it. It's somewhere you're trying to live in between those two emotions.
Yeah, it's terrible though. Like when you go to the theater and you don't know whether you're going on or not. It's like, do you hope for a rain out? Do you feel like, are you getting up for it?
Summer, you do hope for a rain out. Please, dear God, can we just get the costumes not to stink tonight? But you, as an audience, there was a challenge, as you pointed out, going over to Vermont because the show didn't always go on. And I wonder your sense of how much of the audience was persistent about going back and, I bought the tickets, I'm going to make sure I get to see this play. Or did people give up and say, okay, perhaps it's not in the cards this year?
Hard to say. There were pretty good audiences. I
think people were eager to do stuff if they could, but like with everything else, we went to see Michael Bublé earlier this year, and one of the things that he said is how many people thought I was going to cancel for the fourth time, and the place erupted in laughter because it was true. It was like, how many times do you reschedule before you go, okay, that's enough.
Yeah.
Now, have you been seeing, with seeing so many outdoor shows and indoor shows now, especially in the fall and winter, have you observed, were there more people coming out for summer shows because it was outside and people felt more comfortable, or is it pretty?
I know the Christians, we had close to sellout every night.
That's
that was indoors.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we've seen great houses. We never, Capital Region, you never see a house less than 20 people. It's always pretty well attended. I can't really say that there's a difference between the summer and New York. The stuff we've seen in New York, 6 Come From Away, sold out. The first time
Passover.
The first time we went down Passover, they sold almost 75%. But yeah, there was such eagerness. What a thrill! That first.
We're just back from we saw Selling Cobble at Playwrights Horizon, which, as you know, it was in one of the smaller theaters there.
Right. Yeah.
Shoulder to shoulder, and as we were discussing, we also saw Lehman Trilogy, also packed house.
Right.
But a few days earlier, we saw Donna Summer at Proctor's.
Right.
Thin. And you may have caught an interview by Philip Morris, who runs that. And he expressed some, I'll call it concern, that the crowds are not back in the numbers. So I'm wondering, guys, if the smaller houses, even though you're snugger, somehow the intimacy makes you feel more secure rather than going into one of the big houses locally. Because again, New York packed.
I think I don't know how much a vaccination rate has to do with that. Are people not coming back because they're not vaccinated? I mean, who is Proctor's audience? And to sell in those numbers, perhaps, I don't know, but I certainly, the number of, I feel safe. I would go see Donna Summer, but I felt safe in every Broadway house that we've been in.
And they do a great job. I don't know how it was for you, but some of them, you're standing out there, you got to show them your ID, you have to show them.
First entrance
and then we got to stand.
Our first entrance took like 15 minutes, with the Excelsior pass and then the bag check. And then, and there were 4 of us, which was another great thing. We brought a couple of couples who had never experienced Broadway before, and we brought them back this year. And that was
really fun for us.
Yeah.
Now, guys, let me ask. In New York, you could buy beverages and snacks in the theaters. Locally, nobody's doing that.
So I believe Equity has rules about this.
Yeah.
And that's what was guiding. Like Williamstown, you couldn't even get water, and it was outside and it was 90 degrees and people were like falling over.
Yeah, I think that's an equity rule. And why it applies, that's up to them, up to the union as far as where it applies and why. And I don't agree with it.
That you're allowed to or not allowed to?
No, I think you should have water. Yeah, I think you should be able to have water, and
And if they can do it, if Equity says it's okay, why not at local theaters?
Right. If I can sit somebody next to somebody in the theater, why can't I purchase something from somebody with my mask on and some concession? I just wasn't really understanding, what the problem was there. Was it, because you're touching something that somebody else has touched?
I think you're
do that at a grocery store.
Taking the mask down to drink it.
Right.
I know I got a ugly look from my husband when I took him down to see Benita do an amazing job in Cabaret at the Two of Us productions. And on the way down, because it's, a little hike to get down there, he's like, well, will there be concessions? It's like, yeah, it's the theater, of course. He's like, okay, I won't bring a snack then. And then we got there and they said, because of COVID, no concession. Oh, he gave me this look. And then I had to deal with him being cranky the whole way home because he was hungry.
I wish you had texted me. I always travel with snacks. I could have snuck something out to you.
I'm so sorry. I feel his pain.
So, looking forward, you have a crystal ball?
I think what's amazing in the Capital Region is you look at how many groups got new spaces to perform in, and it's all about growth and it's all about expansion. And it's, Capital Rep's got a new $14 million house. Fort Salem has 2 guys who are doing a bang up job, fantastic stuff. We loved Next to Normal. Black Theater Troupe has
moved into Cap Rep.
Has a space at the Rep. Creative License has space at Coho's Music Hall. Playhouse Stage is now managing Coho's Music Hall. Creative Action has films that they're debuting at the Madison Theater. I mean, it's all about expansion, and growth. It's like we're just getting started. We're coming out of this plague, and it's like boom, like a rocket. Everyone wants to produce.
Yeah. And tell us about Harbinger Theater.
Oh, that old thing. Yeah, we started a theater company. Yeah, we've been sitting around reading plays and doing new work in class, and we said we have to produce these plays that we love. So we got our 20 best friends together, and we said, let's do this. And first, we had produced with acting class, my acting class. We had produced Men on Boats 3 years ago. And then, we were in the Albany Barn, and I was able to get in there last November to teach in-person classes, which was awesome. And then we've always done scene nights like twice a year. And I scheduled the scene night for as early as I could, like April, and then I'm like looking, I'm like, why aren't we doing a play? So then we did Death Tax, and, that went, that had its moments. I had to cancel half the run because of, a cast health issue. Not COVID, but a cast health issue. But we were up and we were ready to be a success. And then I was like, heck, let's do it again. We scheduled the Christians, and I decided, to incorporate so I could bring more people in to give more people experience directing. So now we're looking at announcing a full season for next year, and we've nailed the rights, and it's all going to come out in January. We're going to have a bunch of plays in a couple of different spaces and 3 different directors. And they're all Capital Region premieres. One is a world premiere in Everything But Name. It's a brand new work by a nationally recognized playwright. I just can't call it a world premiere. So it's going to be a workshop of a brand new work. And Christians went,
spectacular.
It was just an exceptional experience. We had, audiences of ministers with a talk back, and they were like, I didn't know what to expect. And I think that was like, they asked in talkbacks, what did you want the audience to take away from this? And it was like, I've never seen anything like that before. And it was something that I didn't imagine coming into it. That's what it would be. And I got that from people, in the Capital Region theater scene, and from, these pastors that came in from church.
Patrick, let me just go in and ask. This is, clearly these are very fraught, charged times. And to have provide this opportunity for a conversation, do you think that people really are chomping at the bit to be able to engage in this way? And then, reporter should never ask 2 questions in one, but if this answer to that is yes, do you see this becoming part and parcel with the work that you'll be doing? That it's not just the experience of sitting there at the theater, but then providing the opportunity to discuss, to understand.
Right. David Mamet doesn't allow talkbacks at his work, but there's actually an article in today's American Theater that talkbacks should be a separate event from the play itself, which, how do you do that? Let's schedule a talkback. But we heard from so many people that this play created more conversation in the car ride home. And when the talkbacks were proposed by Sarah Clark, our press rep, I was like, oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, let's do that. And I thought they were valuable. We always stay for talkbacks. And we might be in New Haven, and they go, there's a talkback, and I go, ooh, and Chris goes, oh my God.
Because Chris is going to be driving after that. Right. So, but we still stay for them anyway.
Because I think that they're an added bonus. They're a way to go deeper into, and you're not talking about costumes or,
how did you learn those lines?
Yeah.
It's usually the subject matter of the play. And that's another reason we started the theater company. Are there plenty of theater companies in the area? Absolutely. But we want to do plays that aren't produced. There's lots and lots and lots and lots of plays that aren't produced in the area, and they're very valuable. I don't need to see another Harvey, Arsenic Old Lace. It doesn't have any interest for me personally. if there's friends and they're in, sure, I go see them. But it's like, that's not the kind of theater that I want to be seeing, or that I want to be producing either.
So will all the plays at Harbinger be Capital Region premieres? Is that kind of the goal?
We didn't put that in the mission statement. I would like to put in the mission statement, because really, who reads mission statements? But you know, if we had a take on a classic,
take a classic,
you know,
and
do it in a way that's fresh and stimulating and gives you a new perspective on it, you know, that. Yeah, I don't want to say we're never going to do anything but Capital Region premieres, but yeah, primarily we're going to do Capital Region premieres.
Very cool. And where do you find all these plays? Like, what's your tactic? Do you just buy a whole bunch of plays, or is there a resource you have?
We do. I used to work, when I first moved to the city, I worked at Dramatist Play Service when I was going to acting school. It was right around the corner on 30th and Park Avenue. And I was allowed, as part of my job, I was given a script every day. And, you know, I have thousands of scripts. And
I had a few too.
He has a few too. But there are a bunch of resources. There's this Dramatist Play Service now has a membership where you get seven plays every quarter. You pay like $30, and they give you 7 plays that they choose. And actually, I think I discovered Death Tax through doing that. I first read Lucas Nate from this Dramatist Play Service. But there's National New Play Network. There's a bunch of places to find new writing. And, you know, when we go to the city, we don't go to
Broadway.
We don't go to see Waitress. I mean, it's a great
show.
I really enjoyed it, but I can see it at Proctor's. And I know that Jesse Mueller is exceptional and extraordinary, but I want to go see stuff that I can't see here.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's interesting you say that. Somebody had a conversation with me. Park Stage Company / Park Playhouse is doing great. I just
head over heels.
Thank you. Head over heels. And someone said to me, you know, you guys are doing all this like young stuff. And you know, I did a little bit. And Mike, you know, like basically, what about the Nuggets? I'm like, you know what? If we don't attract a younger audience, and it's to what you were speaking about, if we don't attract a young audience, if we don't keep the excitement, theater is not yesterday. Theater is evolving, and it's about where we are right now and maybe even looking to tomorrow.
Right, right. The last play that Sondheim saw on Broadway was Dana H. by Lucas Nate. And it's a play about his mother, who was a social worker, and she was kidnapped by a criminally insane man and held captive for 5 months. And he had never spoken to his mother about this incident in her life. He was at NYU, and he knew about it, of course, but he had a friend who was a director go and interview his mother. And he said, you know what? Why don't you tape it? And he had no idea why. And it turns out the play is his mother's words on tape, and an actress plays his mother and mimics, lip syncs the entire story, you know, about this captivity and her, you know, and her being shut off from society and not being able to reach out for help when she's, you know, sitting next to a police car at the convenience mart. And you're watching this, and as I'm telling it, I can feel this constriction in my chest, you know, this like feeling of dread and, you know, just palpable, you know, sense of dislocation. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But those were a metaphor.
Right, right. And this is the last show that Sondheim saw. And he said to the interviewer, he was like, you know, I can smell that I'm going to like this. 91 years old. And I think, and like a lot of his stuff wasn't commercially successful when it first came out. Now we have West Side Story, Company, Assassins, but they're not, they weren't necessarily Hello Dolly or, Fiddler on the Roof. You know what I mean?
Company wasn't a success when it opened.
Right. And there are a number of shows. I mean, I've never seen Pacific Overtures.
Right.
So, but, it just did like, you got to push forward, you got to keep moving forward.
So speaking of moving forward, what do you two have the most anticipation for in 2022? Is there anything coming up that you're excited for or hopes that you think will happen?
Well, we have a season of shows scheduled.
We have a theater company now that we'd like to move forward.
There are a bunch of plays that I've seen listed. That Matthew Lopez has a new play at Theater Works Hartford. He's the author of the Inheritance. There's a play called Airness I'm dying to see. It's about an air guitar competition that's playing in Rochester. We're going to see, there's a new Claire Barron play who wrote Dance Nation. That's really exciting to us.
We're seeing Boston.
Boston, we're seeing Teenage Dick, which is Richard III with a kid with MS in high school. Set in
the high school.
Wow.
Yeah. That should be good. So
full calendar, sounds like.
Oh, yeah. Hope so.
To audiences that are concerned, I know what I've seen just recently. Share what you're seeing in terms of masking.
I haven't seen any problem with masking.
Yeah, it's it's been our experience in the theater community that's not been a huge issue. I'm sure there are tales of some of that, but I think sporting events and concerts, you probably are getting more of obstacles there. But I'm sure with there is this mask fatigue. I understand that, but it's like if people want to impose a mask mandate, I'm perfectly happy with that, both for them and for myself.
And what are you guys doing? Having been in a show that was run Equity Rules, we're testing twice a week. Everybody had to PCR at the outset, sort of 2 weeks before we run, and then we tested twice a week. An additional cost, of course, that the company, the two of us productions, hadn't anticipated, but following Equity Rules, you had to.
Yeah.
Everybody was safe.
Tell you the truth, here we are, 18 months in, I don't know. I have never been tested for COVID. No, I work in a hospital. I've seen, dozens and dozens and dozens of shows. I've directed 3 this year. I've never been tested.
And the community theaters, they don't have the same rules as Equity. So, but a lot of the community theaters are requiring vaccination in order to participate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was going to an event, a fundraiser, a murder mystery. And then I took a look and I said, girl, your schedule is just, you're never going to get there. So I bowed out right away. Well, they had to delay the production because one of the cast members became positive. Now, by the way, what you're hearing is, I got a cold, and whoever gave me this cold, I would like to take them out back and shake them. But understand, I tested twice to make sure that it was a cold.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Because it's frightening.
Yeah.
Yeah, every little sniffle and cough.
Yeah. I Knock wood. One of our, couple jokes is I always say I never get sick. And, but I visit my mother in the assisted living. If anything approached, I wouldn't go, or I would definitely get tested, but no.
Yeah. So
I know.
We got 3 minutes. 3 minutes. When this goes down, so can you give us anything about your new season? I know it sounds real exciting, but come on, guys, can you share a little something?
Well, I don't know if you've seen the audition notice, but our first play is announced. Our first play is Hurricane Diane by Madeline George, and I'm directing it, and it's at the Albany Barn at the end of February, and it's Dionysus comes back to Earth, and she is a Butch Dyke gardener from Vermont who's into permaculture, and she invades Red Bank, New Jersey, and turns this cul-de-sac of 4 housewives and tries to get them to come on board and save the earth. It's the Bacchae meets the Real Housewives of Jersey.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Oh, that's perfect. Oh, we wish you the very, very best with that. We'll look forward to catching up with you guys in the new year to hear how it's all going.
Oh,
thank you.
Great.
It looks like, unfortunately, I think Benita got frozen on us in the last minute of the podcast. Yeah. Oh, Zoom.
Oops.
Oh, Zoom.
Mid-sniffle.
But this has
thank
been
you for
lovely.
having
me. And we look forward to sponsoring more of your programs.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm so glad we had, more to kind of talk about this year than last. And hopefully next year when we have you guys for our annual theater wrap up for the year, we'll have even more shows to talk about.
It's been an amazing year. I really think it's like a golden age.
Yeah.
Because there's so much at stake.
Definitely. And I think people really appreciate how fragile the theater industry in general is, and that's, I think, why people are so supportive and thinking fragile outside the box and
valuable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
we'll give
thank
Benita
you
our
so
best.
much. We will give Benita your best. And for our listeners, thank you so much for Patrick and Chris. You are wonderful as always. And our listeners, very Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year, whatever you celebrate. We hope you have a wonderful time, and we'll talk to you in 2022. Thank you so much for listening to the Everything Theater podcast. Special thanks goes out to Alice Grinling for our photography and Justin Friello for composing our amazing theme song. Please remember to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you want to share your thoughts or what's going on in your theater community, you can reach out to us on social media or through our email at everythingtheaterpodcast@gmail.com. Till next time, it's everything, everything, everything.